All right. Hello, everybody. We are going to get started here. I know most individuals who signed up for the live event are going to be looking for the replay. So I'm going to get started here and share with you about finding the diet that is right for you. I think this time of year, especially, people are really focused on finding the diet that they want to be following, especially in the new year, since New Year's resolutions and whatnot are right around the corner. So today we're going to be talking all about finding the diet that you should be following and ditching fad dieting for good. So if you are watching this replay and you haven't met me before, my name is Allison Tallman. I'm a registered dietitian and I help clients who want to build consistency in their routine. I help my clients to gain clarity in what to eat, to build confidence in their food choices, and to feel less confused about nutrition information, because I know there is a lot of information out there and it can be really confusing. I do have a website, and I like to point that out to people because I do have a ton of recipes, and I think that's something that a lot of people want. So I have a whole recipe section. I also should point out to you that I have a lot of free events. I do at least like 2 of these a month, and you can sign up and look for those right there, especially the ones in the new year. So our agenda for today, we'll be chatting all about fad diets, the research behind dieting, how to spot a fad diet, what diet I recommend, where to get your nutrition information from, something special for you guys. And then if anyone has any questions, which I did receive a couple questions from the people who can't make it, so I'll be answering those. So just thinking to you guys, think about this. Maybe you could pause this replay and think to yourself, like, what are fad diets you've heard of? And like, maybe you can write out a list right now. There's so many out there. There are things like keto, Whole30, intermittent fasting, South Beach, Atkins. I think the list can go on and on. And I do like to sometimes start off with a little bit of like a little quiz for you guys. So starting this off today, thinking of intermittent fasting, if you've heard of 2 truths and a lie, this is what I'm sharing with you guys. So intermittent fasting, you can think of it as eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner is a form of intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting and other forms of fasting can lead to overeating at some point in that day. Exercising in a fasting state will lead to improved performance. 2 truths and a lie. I'm gonna let you sit and look at this so that when you're looking at the replay, you can have the time to read it. So the lie is that exercising in a fasted state will lead to improved performance. And we'll go into intermittent fasting after. Keto diet. So keto diet, low carb and keto are the same thing. Keto is considered a high fat diet. Symptoms of following the keto diet may include fatigue and headaches. Let that sit for a second. So the lie is that low carb and keto are the same thing, which we'll also go into keto, but keto is essentially no carb, and low carb are obviously you can still eat a little bit. So like people on keto, you can't even eat anything like fruit, for example. You can't eat nuts. You can't really eat anything that has carbohydrate in it. So I think a lot of people who do keto, or they're saying they're doing keto, they're actually realistically doing low carb. Whole30. So potatoes are allowed in the Whole30 diet. You can eat low-fat dairy on Whole30, but not full fat. Whole30 is a form of resetting. So lie is you can eat full-fat dairy on Whole30, but not full fat. So you can't eat any dairy actually on Whole30. So why do we do these diets? Like, why do we keep coming back to them? The compelling reasons that we fall for them, there's celebrity endorsements. I see all the time, what's his name? Rob Lowe doing like Atkins commercials, for example. Testimonials, great marketing that's out there. The testimonials, I will say, a lot of the times when you do see testimonials, they will be getting these testimonials from people in kind of like the honeymoon phase when people are feeling good before they lose all of the progress that they've seen. So why shouldn't we be doing these diets? You can put yourself at risk of nutrient deficiencies, different interactions amongst your body. People can have adverse reactions to it as well. Unintended weight loss or weight gain. place at risk for developing different medical conditions. For example, those who do keto are actually at higher risk of cardiovascular disease. And it's just not a long-term solution. It's not sustainable. And when it works with me one-on-one or in my program, you learn that how to eat in a more sustainable way versus like counting calories and watching your carb intake and things like that. So we're going to go into a couple fad diets. The first one is intermittent fasting. So the definition of intermittent fasting is a format of cycling between caloric intake and fasting. So the history of fasting is, it is not new. I'm sure we've heard of fasting in more of maybe in some religions or spiritual fasting. There's also been government mandated fasting, periods of like war, for example. And why do people do it? People think that fasting equals weight loss. And this is, I'm not saying for why do they do it for religious or spiritual reasons. The evidence is insufficient overall. Factors studied between different intermittent fasting types. Their research showed that it did not lead to increased performance. It didn't lead to more weight loss. Maybe people lost weight at first, but they weren't keeping that weight off. The pros is that you can actually have short-term weight loss. Again, you're going to get it all back though. Some athletes use it in professional training. However, the everyday person, anybody who's like on one of these webinars with me, most of you are not going to be professional athletes, so I do not recommend doing it. And it can actually cause suboptimal peak performance in competition. It's really difficult to follow. It can have lead to low blood sugar, which can cause nausea, dizziness, fatigue, headaches. It's an anti-food diet, so you're really not focusing more on quality. You're thinking of just like a regimented routine. And it's contraindicated in a lot of populations, meaning you shouldn't do it if you have diabetes, if you're pregnant, if you're an elderly, etc. It can also lead to hormonal imbalances, poorly managed blood sugars, and reduced quality of sleep. So as you can tell, I do not recommend intermittent fasting. One thing to think of with intermittent fasting is that you are going a long time without eating, maybe it'd be 12 hours or 16 hours when you sleep. So like I usually get a solid 8 hours per night. I'm fasting for 8 hours. I'm not eating in that middle time. I'm not waking up and having a snack. So you all are technically still doing a fast at night because you're not eating for 8 hours. Next, the keto diet. So the keto diet is no carb. Again, we talked about low carb versus no carb. It's no carb, high protein, and fat. The history of it was actually developed to help patients with epilepsy, and it was specifically for kids with epilepsy because it reduced the number of seizures and the duration of a seizure. And why do people do keto? So people assume that carbs make us gain weight. So by doing low carb, we're going to lose that weight. There's no evidence for long-term weight loss. So some pros, those of us who eat too many carbohydrates overall, like too many refined carbs, actually may see less, may have it be beneficial to eat less overall carbs, so like less refined carbs. You potentially eat more veggies, and it does have potential for really quick weight loss. However, it's high in saturated fat, so you're likely to be at higher risk for cardiovascular disease. It's not sustainable. It's potentially harmful in those with diabetes because your blood sugars are not regulated. And as I mentioned, it increases the risk of heart disease. And the fact it increases your saturated fat means it also increases your cholesterol. Other fad diets that are out there, we have paleo, Whole30, Noom, 5 and 2, like eat healthy on 5 days a week during the week and 2 days binge, for example. So why they don't work? So these diets don't account for quality. So there are certain forms of these macronutrients that can be less healthy. For example, carbs in the form of complex carbs are actually going to be healthier and more nourishing for us than refined carbs. It can lead to toxic eating behaviors like obsession and binges. It can be restrictive, and it can actually lead you to eat a less varied diet overall. It increases stress and anxiety. If any of you have done a diet before, you know that you're like feeling more anxious. It exhibits an unhealthy relationship to your kids. So if you do have kids or any small kids around you, it can show them that carbs or whatever food item is bad, and it can basically have them have a bad relationship with food. You're working against your body. You're not listening to your own hormone levels, your own energy levels. You're not managing your blood sugars, and it is not sustainable. It is impossible to sustain. So how to avoid these diets? So how to identify them? They claim a large or rapid loss in weight or fat. I see this all the time at the grocery store. It will say like, lose 30 pounds in 2 weeks. That is not realistic. You can lose 30 pounds, and I've helped clients lose 30 pounds, but I've helped them to do it in a more sustainable way. Restricts or eliminates certain food groups. So no sweets, no carbs, whatever it is. It makes promises to you that it can't keep, and it implies that weight can be lost without exercise. While I am not a fitness expert, moving your body in some capacity, whether it be moving your body like walking or playing with your dog, moving your body more so than sitting down is going to be the most beneficial thing you can do. So we're going to go into what to be eating and where to get help. So disclaimer here is that this is for the average healthy adult. If you have any specific conditions such as like heart disease, diabetes, or you're at risk of those, then I recommend scheduling a free discovery call with me, and we can chat about what you should be eating. Where you should be getting your information from, you should be going to a few of these resources. Dietary Guidelines for Americans is one where they update it every 5 years. Eatright.org is like the governing nutrition organization. ChooseMyPlate.gov, which is right here, is another great one. And then lastly, a dietitian. So if you're seeing information on these sites and you're like, how does this apply to me? What should I be doing? A dietitian can help you to really put the pieces of the puzzle together and build you a plan so that you know what to do exactly for yourself. So general guidelines, like what should you be eating? What diet should you be following? You should be thinking of a wide variety. So when you're incorporating foods, think of how can I get the most color in? How can I include lots of fruits, lots of veggies, different proteins? Choosing whole foods when able. I'm not against packaged foods by any means, but I do think that like the more, not even fresh foods, but like whole foods that are in natural form and not synthetically made are going to be better for us. You can eat dairy if it doesn't cause you any discomfort. However, you should be eating dairy with moderate fat. So instead of like full fat, full cream, and like skim and no fat, dairy with fat in it is important because fat keeps us full longer. Making half your grains be whole grains. A lot of us are likely eating many carbs, especially this time of year. So you aiming to make half your plate be whole grains is really beneficial in order to get adequate fiber and reduce your cholesterol and see those long-term goals. You're also going to feel full longer because whole grains have fiber in it. Whole grains are things like quinoa, brown rice, and oats. Eating seafood like salmon or tuna at least twice a week if you're able to. These sources have omega-3s in them, which is great for your heart health as well as your brain health. Lean meat, so eating meat such as turkey, fish, chicken, eating meats, lean meats majority of the time over things like red meat, for example. Healthy oils and fats. So as I mentioned, things like seafood have omega-3s in it. You also want to eat things that have like olive oil, for example. Nuts and seeds have healthy fats. And lastly, you want to fill your plate plenty of color. So as you can see on this plate or bowl right here, there's a lot of beautiful color on it. But foods to limit, you want to limit added sugars, which you can always find on a nutrition label. It says added sugar. Limit saturated fat overall. Saturated fat is also on the nutrition label. So saturated fat is going to be in dairy products, for example. It's also going to be in animal products. And I never recommend to my clients for them to count their sodium. It's not necessary. Sodium is necessary for our body. However, if you're someone who eats a ton of salty foods, like a ton of salty snacks, a lot of frozen goods, a lot of like canned and packaged goods, you might want to be more considerate of your sodium intake, and eating fresh whole foods can actually reduce your sodium intake overall. So as I mentioned, choosing those whole foods, and choose foods that nourish your body rather than counting calories. So for example, I think a lot of us would probably think that like an apple with peanut butter is likely going to keep us full and satisfied and energized, maybe more so than like a Snickers bar. And that is what nourishment is about, is choosing foods that make you feel good. I'm not saying you can never have the Snickers bar, but it's about choosing the foods that do make you feel good. And this is what your plate should look like most of the time. So if you look at this plate, we have half a plate be vegetables, quarter of your plate is grains, so that should be the whole grains, quarter of your plate be protein, and then just a little like condiment sized jar type thing of a healthy fat. So maybe that's your olive oil for your salad, or maybe that is a yogurt for like your taco bowl, whatever it is. Having this balanced plate is the key thing to seeing weight loss, to building sustainable habits. So when to seek help? Like, do you need help? How do you form this plan? There's a statistic online that said 52% of Americans believe it is easier to do their taxes than to eat healthfully, because there's a lot of stressors around us each and every day, a lot of misinformation out there. So I thought this was kind of funny. So a dietitian can help you to lose weight if you want to lose weight, or maintain or gain, increase strength and feel energized, build consistency in your eating habits, feel confident in your food choices, and have less of an all or nothing mindset. I think a lot of times, many of us are all in, like, I'm eating healthy, you eat super well, and then all of a sudden the weekend comes and you binge, for example. And with New Year's resolutions coming up, an estimated 26 million people are going to try to lose weight. But about 9 out of 10, technically 87%, will actually break those habits by January 12th. That many people will break those resolutions. So the takeaways is that dieting doesn't work, and a new diet should not be on your list. Health-based New Year's resolutions are the most successful when we plan ahead, track progress, and stay accountable. Nourish your new year using balanced, whole, unprocessed foods. And remember, build a whole variety onto your plate. And imagine how it would feel to wake up every day feeling energized, to never stress about food, to never feel overwhelmed or confused about what to eat, to have total clarity on what to eat, have complete confidence in your food choices, feel in control, and be your best health ever. And doors are opening, or doors are open, I should say, for my Nourish Nutrition Breakthrough Program right now. I know a few people who are signed up for this webinar are already in, which I'm so excited to have them join. If you are not signed up for this, then this program is for you if you're confused with what to eat and how to make balanced meals. If you don't want to start another diet in January, you want to feel and look your best while also enjoying all foods. And if you're ready to not feel stressed or frustrated when it comes to your eating habits. If you're ready to learn what to eat, if you're passionate about your health, and you're ready to optimize your health and transform it. Lots of great things included. We'll have personalized coaching sessions, weekly modules with specific nutrition topics, ongoing support via private messaging platform 24/7 to ask me questions. And these are a couple of my past clients who saw great success. Both of them have tried many different diets, like counting calories or using MyFitnessPal, and they just didn't see results. And by using this program, they were able to look and feel their best, lose weight, for example, not feel guilty or shameful around food. And I've helped hundreds of other individuals as well with the same thing. So if you're wanting to manage weight, increase energy or have more energy, increase your strength, feel less stressed about cooking, have clarity in what to eat, have better lab values, prevent diseases, manage diseases, all that stuff, then this is for you. And this is a past client, Grace, who said, I've never felt more comfortable in my own skin and clothes, which I love seeing. I'm hearing from Grace. Doors close on Friday at midnight Central, and get in now because prices will increase in 2023. And if you're hesitant, I have a couple call time slots available, so you can schedule a free discovery call with me. We'll talk about your goals, we'll identify what's not working and help you to create a plan. You can schedule that at nourishedroutes.com. And I have a two questions that individuals who are receiving this replay wanted to ask me. So someone asked a little bit about Whole30. So Whole30, I do think can be helpful for individuals who maybe were not even trying to nourish their body in December or November, and they do need something to help kind of like reset in a way. But Whole30 is not sustainable. That's why it has the word 30 on it. So if you're looking for something that is actually doable, and something you can continue doing, then I don't recommend Whole30. And said, do I recommend intermittent fasting? As you learned from this presentation, I do not recommend intermittent fasting. Going along with that, I do recommend eating breakfast. As you learn about intermittent fasting, breakfast helps to regulate your blood sugars. So it can help keep you energized. It can help keep you full to start your day, gets your metabolism going, and it helps with your hormone balance within your body. So instead of feeling like your hormones are imbalanced, instead of feeling like your blood sugars are all crazy, eating a breakfast can really help that. And for breakfast, I recommend consuming something with protein and fiber in it. Okie doke. Well, I wanted to thank everyone who signed up for this. It was so good to see some familiar names on here. I appreciate all of you for signing up and for being interested and committed to your health. I appreciate you all. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday, and I hope to see some of you soon. Thank you.